In Palestine, Israeli strikes near several hospitals in Northern Gaza as officials say tanks have surrounded medical facilities. In Panama, demonstrations to get a mining contract continue throughout the country. In Spain, violence erupted during the fourth consecutive night of protests outside the Socialist Party's headquarters. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Rosabal from TeleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Israeli strikes near several hospitals in Northern Gaza early on Friday as health officials say tanks have surrounded medical facilities. Several hospitals are among the civilian infrastructure targeted in another night of heavy bombardment. Gaza authorities reported that troops struck the Al-Shifa hospital courtyard and the obstetrics department. This is Gaza's largest hospital, where many are taken shelter due to the relentless attacks and the fact that over 50% of the housing units have been damaged. For his part, the UN's humanitarian office issued a statement describing Northern Gaza as hell on earth, while an increasing number of civilians are forced to flee south with no security guarantees. At least 10,812 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli attacks in Gaza since October 7th. In this context, the White House reported on Thursday that Israel has agreed to take 4-hour daily pauses in its aggression in the Northern Gaza Strip. According to the announcement, the measure is aimed at facilitating the evacuation of civilians to the south of the Palestinian enclave, the transfers to the safe areas, and the entry of aid. The National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby said that the pauses will begin on Thursday with no Israeli military operations during the duration of the pauses. This comes amid negotiations by the U.S., Egypt, and Qatar, which have been discussing the possibility of 2- or 3-day truce in Israel war in the Gaza Strip in exchange for Hamas release of hostages. However, Palestinian resistance movement point out that the agreement announced by the White House for 4 humanitarian pauses in the Gaza Strip was made unilaterally and do not trust Israeli occupation forces to comply. Meanwhile, occupying forces carried out a massive incursion into several Palestinian territories in the West Bank and arrested more than 50 Palestinians on Friday morning. The kidnappings took place in a series of raids in cities, towns, villages, hamlets, and Palestinian refugee camps all over the occupied territory. According to human rights organizations, more than 2,500 hostages have been captured by the Tel Aviv regime since October 7th. The incursions took place after the attack on the Jenin camp and a massive death toll caused by the bombardment of the Israeli forces. The number of Palestinians detained by Israel, which have exacerbated the humanitarian crisis currently raging in Gaza and have drawn worldwide condemnation against Israel. In Israel, citizens rallied against the arrests of 4 Arab leaders. The riot was in front of the police station in Tel Aviv neighborhood, where officers tried to disperse the protesters. On Thursday, former Arab legislators were arrested in Nazareth for planning a rally the police said would incite violence and threaten public order. Since the beginning of the Gaza invasion, the Israeli authorities had been pressing and preventing any kind of protest against the ongoing genocide. The gathering also demanded the release of all detainees arrested since the beginning of the war until today. On Thursday night in El Salvador, the Bloc of Resistance and Popular Rebellion developed a political and cultural act in the Palestinian square of San Salvador to condemn the aggression of the Zionist state of Israel against the people of the Gaza Strip. The event was also attended by militants of the Farabundo Marti from National Liberation, together with the sympathizers with the Palestinian cause, internationalists, and members of the civil society. The event featured revolutionary music, poems of denunciation, and messages of solidarity with the Palestinian people who are persisting the murders and slaughter of Israel. Marisela Ramirez, activist of the Resistance Bloc, pointed out the importance of accompanying the heroic people of Palestine with signs of solidarity and supporting them in the struggle. Ecuadorians demonstrated on Thursday outside the Israeli embassy to reject the genocide against the Palestinian people. The demonstrators expressed their solidarity with the Palestinian people and in particular with the inhabitants of the Gaza Strip, where the siege of the Israeli occupation army has caused the death of more than 10,000 people. The Ecuadorians rejected the actions carried out by Tel Aviv and reiterated their support to the Palestinians, affirming that they are not alone. Damascus hosted an art exhibition organized by the Iranian Cultural Consultancy in Syria in solidarity with the Gaza Strip, an event that is part of the multiple expression of regional support for the Palestinian people in the face of the current aggressive escalation of the Zionist occupation regime. Our correspondent in Damascus, Hisham Wanous, with the details.
The exhibition was attended by 45 visual artists from Iran, Palestine, Syria, and other Arab and foreign nationalities. The exhibition was a space that served to highlight the need to make use of all available means, including art and culture, to confront the Israeli war of extermination against the neighbors of the besieged Gaza Strip.
We cannot remain silent, and we must act in the face of Israeli crimes, so that each person contributes their bit from their place and their profession, and on this basis we as men of culture have decided to organize this joint exhibition of Iranian, Syrian and Palestinian visual artists to express our united solidarity with the Palestinian people and their just cause.
We have participated in this important activity to ratify our position of support for the Palestinian cause, because we, as Russia and the former Soviet Union, have always been in favor of this cause, and we have always supported the struggle of the Palestinian people and the other peoples of the world against Zionism and racism. The participants, besides expressing their feelings of solidarity with the Palestinian people, reflected in their paintings of different styles and art schools the brutality of the Israeli aggression against Gaza, the suffering of children, women, and the elderly, and at the same time the resolve of the Palestinians and their determination to continue the struggle no matter until the long-desired victory is achieved.
In its effect, art is equal to bullets on the battlefield, and through art artists bring the facts to the whole world, unmasking the crimes of the occupier and highlighting the heroic deeds of the resistance fighters and their comrades in Gaza and in all the occupied territories.
I have tried to capture in my paintings the anger and pain of the peoples of the world who love Palestine and oppose the Zionist enemy, and at the same time, I wanted to reflect the determination of the Palestinian people and show that no matter how hard the Zionist enemy and the U.S. enemy try to break the will of the Palestinians, they will not succeed, because the Palestinians are a people that fights in defense of their rights.
Each artist has his own style, but what unites the artists participating in this exhibition is that they express in their paintings the deep wound of the Palestinian people that continues to bleed for 75 years, and more importantly, the continuous heroism of our people over the last 75 years.
In addition to the pain, hardship, and sadness that the Palestinians have been experiencing for 75 years under Israeli occupation, the artists, with their colors and lines, embodied the hope and faith of these brave people in a future of peace, tranquility, and prosperity in their ancient usurped land, which they trust will soon be liberated with the support and solidarity of the other free peoples of the world.
Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, new dates, and more. Our star is coming up, stay with us. Welcome back. On Thursday, demonstrations against mining contract in Panama continued throughout the country. Called by the unions, social organizations, and the civil population in general in the Panamanian capital, the main mobilization left from the Porras Park and marched to the presidency. At the same time, thousands of demonstrators in white gathered in the town of Santiago de Veraguas in western Panama and called by the influential Association of Educators from Veraguas, who walked to the bridge near an American highway in homage to the two teachers who were shot to death on Tuesday. The Panamanian people have been in struggle since last October 20th, when the Parliament and the Executive, by means of Law 406, renewed for 20 years, renewable the exploitation of the largest open pit copper mine in Central America. In Venezuela, the registration of political parties and social sectors to participate in the consultative referendum in defense of the Essequibo is progressing. On Thursday, student organizations and the University Guild went to the National Electoral Council to formalize registration for the referendum. Spokesperson for the sector underlined that the universities have taken on the electoral challenge, affirming that the territory of Essequibo forms parts of the sovereignty of the country, a fact which, according to them, is unquestionable. They also emphasized that the Guyana Essequibo belongs to the right of Venezuela.
We are here to adhere to the consultative referendum for the 5 yes, for our homeland, our children, our family. We are going to give the 5 times yes to the consultative referendum. The Guyana Essequibo is ours of Venezuela. Nobody gave it to US. It belongs to US by right.
The universities have taken this challenge because precisely the territory is one. That is not disputed. Sovereignty is not disputed. And of course, the Essequibo territory has historically been and has sufficient merit to demonstrate from a legal and historical point of view that we have full rights over this large strip of Guyana Essequibo. That is our territory.
In the same way, the Artists Guild joined the consultative referendum chronograms in defense of the Guyana Essequibo. Artists mobilized to the vicinity of the National Electoral Council to deliver the petition and be part of the campaign. The Guild offered statements and urged Venezuelan artists to be part of this movement in defense of the homeland. In Colombia, Luis Manuel Diaz was released after being held by the National Liberation Army since last October 28. The Humanitarian Commission confirmed on Thursday that the father of the football player Luis Diaz was transferred to the city of Valledupar in the department of TeleSUR after his release at a point in the Serrania del Tarija at about 10:30 local time. Luis Manuel Diaz was intercepted together with his wife, Silenis Murulanda, at a gas station in Barrancas. Both were taken to the municipality of Fonseca. However, the young group released Murulanda when the search operation was initiated by the authorities. The movement of victims of the Salvadoran regime of exception, MOVER, and relatives of the detained in the last 20 months urged the Ombudsman Office to intercede for the innocent people detained, especially minors. The families of the victims expressed their concerns about the passivity of the office and criticizing the indifference about the initiations of abuses against the detained during the state of emergency. They also asked the institution to ensure that the human rights of children born in prisons and their mothers be guaranteed. The relatives of those deprived of liberty continue to denounce the abuses committed against the people who remain detained during this mechanism implemented by the Nayib Bukele government.
We are tired of seeing an ombudsman's office so silent, so passive in the face of human rights violations, so tolerant of the violations of human rights by the regime, and we believe that we have given it too much time, believing that it was going to do something. We see no signs at all that it wants to look after the victims' human rights.
We're not against the regime of exception or the fight against crime, but let's talk about real crime, because in my case we don't have any links with gangs. We're without tattoos, a job in a diary, a formal job. Well, they didn't give us any information about if he did something illegal. They just took him away and he's under arrest, a kind of kidnapping, and we don't know if he's alive.
We have a second show break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel TeleSUR English, where you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, sub-stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's more recent events. Final show break, don't go away. Welcome back. Violence erupted during the fourth consecutive night of protests at the Spanish Socialist Party headquarters on Thursday. Bottles, beer, cans, and fireworks were thrown at a heavy police cordon protecting the headquarters, and officers moved in using batons to break out the demonstrations. The protest began after Spain's Socialist Party struck a deal with a French Catalan separatist party to grant an amnesty for 1,000 people involved in the region's failed secession bid in exchange for his backing acting Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez to form a new government. Sanchez, a socialist and Spain's leader since 2018, still needs the backing of a small-backed party. On Thursday, Portugal's President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa dissolved Parliament and called an election for March 10, after Prime Minister Antonio Costa resigned on a corruption investigation. Costa, Portugal's socialist premier since 2015, quit on Tuesday after being embroiled in a corruption probe into energy-related contracts, sparking a political crisis. This also immediately heads of the main political parties on Wednesday that he decided whether to ask the party leader to try to form a new government or to dissolve Parliament. The main opposition parties on the left and right have urged early elections. The Socialist Party wanted the appointment of a new prime minister who would govern with a comfortable parliamentary majority. Holding the election in March will give the Socialists time to find a successor to Costa, one of the few left-wing heads of government in Europe.
People of Portugal, having been called upon to make a decision on the scenario created by the resignation of the government, due to the decision of the Prime Minister, I have chosen to dissolve the Assembly of the Republic and hold new elections on March the 10th, 2024. We must now look to the future and prepare to choose the people's representatives and the government that will emerge from the elections. A government that will seek to establish stability and economic, social, and cultural progress while respecting freedom, pluralism, and democracy.
Lawyers from Palestinian non-governmental organizations filed a complaint against Israel for genocide at the International Criminal Court. The request urges the institution to issue arrest warrants for Israeli leader for the apartheid and genocide committed against the Palestinian population and the war crimes committed. It also emphasizes the need to give urgent attention to the continued Israeli shelling of residential areas in the Gaza Strip. The complaint also asserts that the action of the Tel Aviv regime amounts to a crime against humanity. After his visit to Kazakhstan, Russian President Vladimir Putin arrived in Rostov-on-Don, where he visited the headquarters of the Southern Military Districts, the closest to the Ukrainian territory. According to the official media, the president was briefed on the progress of the special military operation and got acquainted with new equipment. The president was accompanied by Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu, Chief of the General Staff Valery Gerasimov, and other military commanders. The visit on Friday is the second visit of the chief of the state to the headquarters, and it was the second public visit to the headquarters in less than a month. White House Security Council report reveals the collapse of U.S. financial support for Ukraine in recent months. The text indicated that the United States spent 96% of the funds allocated to Kiev. Likewise, the agency assured that the U.S. Department of Defense has only $1.1 billion for the replacement of weapons in the Army's depots. In this regard, the U.S. Agency for International Development informed that there will be no more funding for direct budgetary support to Ukraine and that the European country will have to take emergency measures to overcome the situation, which will probably damage its economy. Kenya's President William Ruto on Thursday defended his economy measures aimed at reducing debt, despite rejection from any sector of the people over the removal of subsidies and any series of new taxes. In the first State of the Nation address to Parliament after taking office, Ruto reiterated that the series of economic measures his government set are necessary to put the country back on track. In a sense, he also stated that Kenya has been living beyond its means, which he said has led to the nation into an unavoidable debt hole. Kenya faces a number of challenges, including depleted government coffers, skyrocketing inflation, unemployment, the currency that has sent debt servicing costs soaring. A new direction may not be easy, but it's ethical, responsible, prudent, and above all, necessary, the Kenyan leader added.
As I told Kenyans on my first day in office, times were difficult and many people are struggling, and necessary and effective sustainable solutions were urgently needed. We must admit, honorable members, that as a country, we had been living large and way beyond our means. I can now confirm with confidence that we will and we shall pay the debt that has become a source of much concern to citizens, markets, and our partners.
And we have come to the end of this news brief, but before saying goodbye, we want to thank our Caribbean audience, especially the audience of Trinidad and Tobago. We are pleased to share a newscast and contribute to provide an alternative news source of the latest world events. You can find these and many other studies on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social networks, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, Amanda Razabal, thank you for watching.